So I was thinking, so people who don't understand my motivations or whatever might, think my room's kind of like messy. But I can explain every single little detail of why it's messy. Why this is right here. Why that is right there. See, most people, they lack executive function. So like this stuff piles up because like they don't want to deal with it. But me, it's like I set it here because I'm like, okay, I will deal with it at this time, at this date in my mind, at this blah blah blah, and to segment it out in my mind and like plan it out. It has to be right here. It has to. Well, basically, I'm autistic, so this has to be right here. All this has to be right here for now. This, I'm about to move that. Everything has a reason. I put this here when I'm not like going out for a while, or I put it over here if I plan to go out for. But to other people who are, I guess, lower IQ, or I mean, the dimensionality of conceptualization, if they're lower on that scale, they see this as a clutter. They're like, oh, god damn, bruh. They're like, you're crazy. But for me, it's more, I see it more of like a data or like statistical thing, or like, because, okay, in my mind, it's basically like a spreadsheet, and I'm like, okay, and I place like everything where it's supposed to be for when I intend to deal with it. See, people who lack executive function, I'll get around to it. And since I'm using English, I say the same thing, because I'm not going to bust out a fifth dimensional concept on you and be like, oh, actually, explain what I just took like about 2 minutes explaining. Like, who the hell is going to say that, right? So I tell the other person, since I already know what I'm going to do with it, I tell them, oh, I'll deal with it later. And they imprint how they think on me, and they're like, oh, so you're just putting it off. And I'm like, no, I'll do it later. Because I'm already thinking, okay, like June 31st, I'll do, or July 31st, I'll do blah, blah, blah at like around 7 p.m. But they're never even thinking that far ahead, right? So it's like, no wonder people misunderstand. They think it's all schizo stuff. They must think, like I'm insane, but that's because they would actually be insane if they saw this in their room, because they can't handle it. They're self-projecting. I know how to handle every single little bit and piece of this weeks in advance. That's why people think people with high-functioning autism are actually schizophrenics, and they're putting them on medications to basically dumb them down. So people are like, oh, go get help, Anyways. Okay, this was from the last video, Chaos Angel. So I was thinking of like a comic book character or something. And this is just like, my partner and I were just like thinking of like, I was thinking of some funny lines for one of the characters we were planning. I was deciding if I wanted the name to be in Russian, and this would be like her ideology too. Like it would be self-referential, because I don't know. It kind of explains, it's self-referential because it's a, I guess, what do they call it? Autobiography in a way. Because, obviously I was bullied into, like, insanity, right? But luckily I made out of it. But so, I'm just writing my past. Anyways, so I said, the universe likes to give itself new tools every so often. Ow. Why do you have to play around me right now? Stinky kippy. Alright. Every so often to conceive of new realities and outcomes. we're in temp era, you know, to Gen 1 stars, Gen 2, blah, blah. And I was thinking on this stuff, you know, organic, compounds, life, evolution. Because I was just, you know, I was thinking in my head, and I was like, well, you know, why don't I just write it down? Makes sense, right? So I can, you know, instead of being like, oh, where's the piece of paper? You know, and then doing all that, right? I don't mind just writing wherever the hell I want. I'm using Expo markers because it's easiest to write on surfaces like this. This is my med check because I'm trans, so obviously I cannot maintain this chemical hormonal profile by myself. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. Estradiol, Zoloft for serotonin, because I was bullied my whole life and shunned, or just like not talked to. And finasteride is a better alternative to what's it called? Spiro, I don't know, because the other one just gave me more brain fog. This doesn't give me brain fog. And then I have to take estradiol twice. And then I make sure I marked it in, because this is where I keep my medications. So I can mark them right here. I mean, see, everything kind of makes sense if you would just ask me instead of assuming I'm insane. Because these are things you would do. It's like, well, if you actually saw the value in it, which you won't until you increase your executive function. So, you know, iron, because for a while I was anemic. I don't think I am anymore, because I just know how to maintain homeostasis. So I just looked up how to counteract that. So I was just like weaning myself off of iron. I used to take iron way more. Okay. Let's see. Oh, the P is for progesterone, which I haven't been taking for quite some time. See, when I was depressed, I had like no executive function. So yeah, this was actually a mess. But now that I have executive function restored, I already know what I'm going to do with everything. So in the actual mess era, I misplaced my my progesterone bottle, so like actually I lost the whole bottle of it. But I'm in the past era when I was retarded, I couldn't conceive that this was even a good idea to do. I thought the people who did this were schizophrenic. But then, you know, as I became smarter, as like, you know, it actually helps to reinforce, you know, concepts and stuff. You're writing. That's why they tell you take notes, write this down, so no one sees the value of that. So they think that thing that's using like educational, like learning stuff is like insane. That just shows you the place of society right now. Okay, this is a supplement, which, you know, to not be confused if I ever needed to explain it to someone to prove my sanity, you know, fish oil is not a supplement. Okay, well, iron I had listed as a supplement because I needed to take it from science. And like my language getting messed up is my brain going like a billion miles per hour. And so people start to think you're insane, right? Because they can't conceptualize their mind going really fast. They can't handle their mind going really fast. Oh, I'm so scared, right? Essentially, that's what it is. So when they imprint their competency level, I guess, on me, so everything I do seems insane to them. Extreme, right? It's just, no, I've trained myself to be able to handle myself. That's literally it. I'm not a retard. So, which is why I'm able to, okay. I essentially saved, see, I'm using other words because I'm skipping mentally ahead to where I'm already saying something else. That's what's happening there. Let's see. Because I already plan out what I'm going to say. And I plan out too far in the future that it's actually, fucking up my ability to, like, say it in the present. Because I'm, like, just building all this in the future in my head. I guess no one understands that. And I, understandably so, because, from my perspective, I think everyone's retarded. But, then I came to learn that actually, no, they're not retarded. It's just they were thinking on different levels. They're just not here yet. And I need to convince them the value of getting here. But, yeah, that's why I have that tick. Because, like, in my mind, I'd just always be, like, fucking retarded. Like, when people, did stuff. And so, like, now I have just, like, a compulsion to say it. Also, I have another tick, which is the N-word with the hard R. But I control that one way better. And when I'm, trying to be, like... Well, because, obviously you just, like... The reason why I like tend to act insane is because I'm so comfortable with myself that, like, I can express myself in any way, like, over exaggerated. Whereas, like, someone who's, like, socially anxious would be like, hey, so they think someone acting like this is insane, right? Well, because the social anxious person is like, oh, everyone's looking at me, right? It's just... when you come to this level of clarity, you're just like, who the hell cares about that shit? So, I think I explained everything on this board already. See, the thing is, I was about to just erase this because I was like, oh, I just made a video on it, right? I could just go back and look at that video if I needed to reference, because eventually I'm gonna, when I get around to it, which I know when I'm going to get around to it, I will learn Excel and put all this into a spreadsheet. It's just I have a priority list. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like... Which is why when people couldn't handle infinite regress as a concept, I was like, huh? Because, like, people weren't okay with infinite regress. I was like... I mean, it's... I guess, well, I guess that's why I have, iterational physics. I guess the only difference is that the way I express myself. Basically, John Wheeler, I completed his life's work, I think, kind of in a way. In about a week of just pondering the topic. I just hadn't thought to ponder it before, because, like, no one's teaching me on this level. I'm kind of on the frontier, and everyone else is projecting. They're trying to say I'm insane, basically, which for the longest time, they made me believe that. But I went to therapy. I got help. I've been happier. What's the problem with my life? I don't understand. So, oh yeah, and this, because I was like, well, sucks, because I have a fascination with trying to condense English down, which is why I talk, like, to other people, like, ooh, that's how they interpret it, right? So, but I'm just taking... because they interpret this as cute. I interpret it as efficient, right? So, yeah, it is cute, but it's efficient too. Otherwise, I wouldn't use it if it didn't have, like, these benefits to it, right? That's what I'm saying. And it's like I happen to have two benefits of it, so all the better. And then, like, well, I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to start writing Russian in the short term. So I'm just practicing my penmanship. And So everything explained. Um, yeah, I don't know why people keep thinking I'm insane. I guess they're just, lower on the dimensional conceptualization.